Welcome to the Customer Machine Podcast, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston and Yoav Ezer. Glenn is a psychologist and marketer whose companies have sold more than $30 million in consulting and has trained thousands of marketers across different niches and industries. Yoav is a programmer turned marketer whose companies have sold over $5 million in products and services. Together, they'll teach you how to systematically stand out, attract, and convert the best customers, even in brutally competitive markets. And now, here's Glenn and Yoav.
Hey, this is the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston, and I'm here with Yoav Ezer, and together we are the Customer Machine. And we are here today with JJ Smith. JJ, is your title CEO of Shop on Main or the founder? How would you describe yourself?
My title is CEO, but only because that's what's required from our accountant in the tax documents. I prefer founder, but I wrote founder on one of the tax things, and the accountant called me and said, "You can't put that on there. You got to be president or CEO to sign these documents." I'm like, but I don't, I've never thought of myself as president or CEO, so I prefer founder.
Gotcha. Well, we are with JJ Smith, the founder of Shop on Main. And JJ, can you just kind of give us a background and orient us to what this business is, what its reason for existence is, and then we'll talk about what we can.
Well, sure. For Shop on Main, when people ask me, I typically say, imagine a whole new shopping experience online. Instead of hunt, kill, bring it home. Imagine sitting on your couch with your iPad, casually perusing, the unique shops of Seattle or Miami or Rodeo Drive, or these unique shops within 20 miles of your couch. And imagine you could see not just images of the stores and products, but videos and the stories behind the store and the story behind the products. Maybe you could even peek your head into the store or chat with the owner. Imagine doing this, shopping locally from anywhere in the country. What I'm attempting to build or attempting to describe is a truly different shopping experience. A destination website with thousands of shops, all from Main Street. This is significantly different than the way the Internet is currently organized, which is, the Internet is built currently to be the most efficient buying experience that has ever existed probably in the history of mankind. If you know what you want, you can go there, buy it, a couple days later it shows up on your doorstep. You spent maybe 5 minutes of your own time. Shop on Main is designed to be fundamentally different, designed to be a shopping experience, which is still, even in 2016, how most things are purchased, is through a shopping experience. Does that help, or should I go deeper?
Well, you can go a little deeper. So why don't we actually do it together? Suppose I am searching for, what's something that I might go to Shop on Main to buy? Anything I could buy locally, right?
Anything you can buy locally. I would say what you might go to Shop on Main to experience. So, I think it's a good exercise to think of Shop on Main as the Amazon for Main Street businesses. So it's designed to be more of an experience than to say, I want to buy a watch, let me go to Shop on Main and buy a watch. You could do that, and it's perfectly acceptable, except you might say, I'm stuck in the doctor's office for the next 30 minutes. Maybe I'll peruse Shop on Main and just have some fun and see what shops are around here.
So if I put nothing in here and I click search, I'm going to find your featured shops. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, this is in this format. Yoav and I don't spend an awful lot of time beforehand, so we try to make it a little more spontaneous, and this is our exposure to. I actually had seen your site before, but.
Yeah, this is my first time.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. It's fine. It's a work in progress. What I just spent the last 2 or 3 minutes describing, in my opinion, does not exist online currently. So there's really no model to follow and say, well, let's do it a little bit like this. Unless we said, well, it's more like Facebook than an e-commerce shop, right? And so maybe the model is Facebook, though we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. Is this making sense, or is this
Yeah, no.
crazy?
I'm digging the picture of the turtle. And there's a video I can watch. I'm kind of driving around Main Street, so to speak, and I didn't put anything in. And so we can look at Tea Times Emporium, and then this is what their wares are, and these are the things I might want to purchase. Okay.
So are these specifically high-quality items, or can anyone open a shop?
Anyone can open a shop. We've tried to be quite intentional about not limiting the shops, because of course there's plenty of platforms or portals, whatever we want to call them, that are tailored toward very specific segments, boutiques or whatever. But the reality is, we have a whole, hundreds of thousands of businesses out there that do not have a good solution, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Their best solution might be Amazon, but Amazon is intentionally hiding the business. 40 to 45% of all of Amazon's sales come from these kind of small businesses. But most of the shoppers don't realize it. They think they bought from Amazon. Mm-hmm. And so it's not really a good relationship. It's more of a, leech relationship from Amazon's perspective. And we're trying to turn it into a place where it can be good for the shop and good for the shopper, because there's no reason it can't be both.
Okay.
And you can buy from anywhere in the country?
Well, at the moment, I don't know, there's 80-some businesses on here, so it's pretty limited. It's not much of a shopping experience where we're at currently, but, we just went live in April, so it's been a month and a half, right? And then, fortunately or unfortunately, I feel like we got to have several thousand shops to produce any kind of true shopping experience like what I'm describing.
How are you soliciting the shops to
Currently, we are going to chambers of commerce, locally influential people. We have signed deals with a number of chamber of commerce. We have signed deals with a number of small municipalities, cities, where they are going to be pushing Shop on Main to their Main Street businesses. Most of that has not started yet. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it looks like you're not having trouble getting shoppers. You're having more trouble getting shops.
We're having much more trouble getting shops.
Is there... Okay.
I mean, shops is going to be our Achilles heel, in my opinion. The degree to which we can figure out shops will be the degree to which this website is successful or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's plenty of people that shop, and right now, if say you're sitting there and you say, well, I would rather shop local than buy from some big behemoth. How would you do that now?
Right.
There's really no way to do it.
Right.
Shop on Main has the potential to become the brand associated with Shop Local, in my opinion, especially Main Street shop. So I define Main Street businesses a little bit different than just small businesses, because especially when you sit with mayors of these small towns and you sit with chambers of these small towns, there's something fundamentally different about someone who goes to all the trouble of signing a long-term lease and getting their business license and hiring people and setting up shop on Main Street, as opposed to someone who's operating out of their basement or their garage. I don't have a problem with those people, but if you're operating in your basement or your garage, you probably need to be on Etsy, or I'm sure we could find other places that are more appropriate. This is specifically designed for those people that have gone the extra mile. They're trying to contribute to their community in a significant way. They're opening a shop, and to me, that's just a slightly different framing. It's slightly different framing.
Well, there should be a quality differential in the kind of products and services that are available like that.
Yeah.
So what incentives are available for existing shop owners or even shoppers to refer you the shops?
Currently, a shop owner can get a percentage. The only charge for getting on the shop on Main for a shop owner, there's no monthly charge, no monthly fees. The only charge is 15% of the sales. And for referring another shop, you can get a piece of that. It starts at 5%, so you could get 5% of the other shops. So you could pay for your own. Essentially, if you recruited a few shops, you could cover your own costs.
Got
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah. Have you considered figuring out a larger incentive or some way?
I mean, we have considered it, even with some of the larger chambers. Like we did a deal with Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the largest chamber of commerce in the country. And they have a larger incentive. I think it's 10% for the next 2 years, and then it goes down. Every year it goes down a few. So, I mean, we're obviously wide open to considering a lot of things. But, the biggest thing we get when we sit in these chamber meetings where you have business owners there is, for the most part, most of them feel like the Internet is the enemy. And the Internet's the reason my business sucks. Why do I want to be a part of the Internet? And so we have sort of an education problem, in my opinion, that, in the next 5-10 years, if you're in business, you've got to be online, right? They can't even find your business if you're not online. And so, that's the biggest thing that we get often in these meetings is, I don't want to be, I don't want to be a part of this. Well, we get that, and we get the pushback that I've already spent some money with a web designer. I've already spent some money with some pay-per-click guy, and I get a phone call every other day from somebody promising me $1 million if I sign up with them, and they're going to buy me a bunch of traffic or whatever they're going to do.
Right. No.
So that's sort of the two big objections we get sitting in those meetings is, number one, the Internet's the enemy, or number two, I've already spent money with these people that call me on the phone every week, and nothing happened.
Right.
And
go on, Yoav.
so you don't really have a problem getting shoppers into the business? It's the stores that are the biggest problem?
Absolutely. That's the biggest problem. Right now we don't even have much of a shopping experience with those 90 stores and 1,800 SKUs or something like that, right?
Right. And you can show that you drive traffic to their products and purchases?
Yeah, we have purchases now.
You have purchases now.
We're not buying any traffic. We're not driving any traffic per se at all.
How much are the existing shops making? What kind of incremental business are they doing?
Good question. Some of them are doing fair numbers, say an extra 2-3 orders a week. Some are doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have really good data on it, to be frank, because we just haven't been open long enough, and we don't have, there's not enough shops there.
Well, so Joe, this is a hypothesis. I don't know if this would work, because this is kind of a new type of a site, but if you think about the marketing services selling to businesses that encounter the objections that you're talking about, the solution has been, well, okay, don't pay me for marketing, pay me for leads, right? You can just pay me when I make the phone ring. So they take all the risk off of the business owner's side. And I'm just kind of wondering if we can replicate that model in some way. So if it's free to sign up and they only pay you when sales are made, and you guarantee something like that. Something like that, so that they, because I think you're right, this is only going to work if we can bring a flood of shops in.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Yeah,
Oh,
thousands.
well, I tell you, no, that's why it's designed the way it is now, that it's absolutely free to join. It's because we wanted the flood of shops. But what has become obvious, in my opinion, in I don't know, the 5 weeks or so that we've actually been open, is that we need a big flood of shops. A few hundred is just not going to cut it. We need thousands, and so that's where we've ended up saying, well, let's take a step back, and instead of relying on kind of the organic growth of shops joining, to go to the chambers and go to the cities. And we had a meeting last week with a web design company because, again, in my personal opinion, in a few years from now, you're not going to see www.mystore.com on the front of the window of the store. You're going to see find us on Facebook or find us on Shop on Main. You're already pretty much seeing that. And there will have some businesses that will go ahead and grow into their own website, but most businesses will not need their own website even. They will have a presence on a portal like Shop on Main as their main presence, and then they'll drive it through Facebook and through these other places.
Do you have enough data to know what a shop sign-up is worth to you?
No.
You're saying we could just pay for it.
How much are you
well,
willing?
a little bit.
Yeah, how much are you willing to invest in a shop sign-up? Let's say you want 2,000 shops.
That's a really good question. Had a conversation with an investor along the exact same lines, because he was interested in how much is it going to cost us to get to 10,000 shops. I don't have anywhere near enough data, and I don't really even hazard a guess at the moment what that number would be. Beyond finding the right investor who says, I'm willing to say, whatever, some number.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around the model. So let's say we find a way to bring in 2,000 shops. Will your business show any sales at that point? Like what's your, because we're talking about funding and raising money. So investors will want to see how much, milestones and how much money you're going to make with each milestone.
Yeah, in general, the model that we lay out in the business plan is $500 a month per business on average.
In sales or in?
In sales, and that comes from looking at some numbers for some other places like Etsy, Amazon. Can't remember. There's 3 or 4 that we compared it to, and it's a really low number, especially if you compare it to some of these other places. We start out with 1,000 per month per business, but we lowered it to 500 because we just didn't want any, we don't want any pushback from an investor to say, oh, I think this is an unrealistic number.
Right. So you're talking about $1 million in sales if you have for every 2,000 shops. That's impressive. And you get 15% of it, which is $150,000 in operating cash. Okay. And what's your expenses?
Our expenses are very little, obviously. Outside of what we're calling merchant services and the website, there are no expenses. They're laid out in detail in the business plan, but hell, we've changed that 100 times.
How do you get
very little?
How do you get shoppers? Do you advertise for shoppers? How do you get the shoppers to?
I think ultimately we get shoppers the same way that Amazon does. There's a reason they're Google's biggest customer. We end up driving traffic. But what we found often, especially working with Kevin, is you can drive traffic. It's very difficult, in my opinion, to compete with people like an Amazon or Target or any kind of thing that you might define as a platform or portal, because they can spread the cost of the traffic out across so many stores. So if I'm buying traffic for shoes, maybe I'll get 1.5%, 2% conversion to someone to buy the shoe. But if I'm driving that traffic into a platform like an Amazon, well, even if I don't buy a shoe, the likelihood I'm going to buy something on a 30-day cookie or 60-day cookie is pretty high. And so my conversion rate goes from a 2% to maybe a 5, 6, 7, 8% oftentimes, especially if you're looking at a 60-day cookie or a 90-day cookie. So it's very difficult to compete with them on traffic. In this case, we could drive pretty massive volumes of traffic in that scenario, which we have a spreadsheet in the business plan lays out. But are you following that?
So you're feeling pretty yeah, I am, but you're feeling pretty confident about the traffic, about the shoppers.
I'm feeling pretty confident about shoppers because there's lots of shoppers that are interested in shopping local. I think a lot of people think there's not, but the reality, okay, so the reality is if I can buy the same product at a similar price, I would rather buy it local. I would rather buy it organic. I would rather buy it, you know, we can put whatever name we want to put on it is my point.
Okay, so let's drop this point for a second, but I'm going to go back. If it's okay with you, Joe, I'm going to play the investor on this call. Because
sure.
I know it's not a it's the villain's role, but somebody has to play it, right?
It's not the villain. Are you kidding? We wouldn't be this far without investors.
I know, but they ask tough questions, and this is an investment play. So I think if I just ask tougher questions, that might be helpful.
I got a pretty thick skin. You can ask as tough a question as you want. You know how many people I tried to explain Amazon to when I went on our honeymoon? You know, I tell people the story a lot because I was involved with Amazon early on. When you tried to explain to people what you do for a living, it was near impossible in those days because the internet was not what it is today. People were like, so you could shop on there? Now, what is that? So I got thick skin.
Good.
People have been telling me I'm crazy my whole life. Go ahead. I'm fine with being crazy.
Okay, so let's start with the shops. I don't see much of a problem. I actually was involved in a similar, it's not similar, but I had a business that tried to connect local stores with clients in a specific niche. And what we did there was to hire a local person and pay them a fee to sign up a store. So we had a very small fee and a percentage of the sales we gave to a local person, and we went to the person and not the Chamber of Commerce route because Chambers of Commerce are heavy. There's a lot of politics going on there and a lot of meetings. Does that sound familiar?
No, yeah, that's what I said. It takes forever.
It takes forever. But
well, in my opinion, forever. But like you talk to Trey Grayson, who's the president of Northern Kentucky, he's like, man, this has really moved fast.
Right.
And I looked over at my partner that I work with, Kenny Up, and I'm thinking, oh my God, if this is fast, we got, because we've been talking to him for 3 months. We started talking to him, say, a month before we opened, and now we're, a month and a half in, so it's been almost 3 months. And they're just now really getting to the plan of launching. They want to do kind of a launch, say,
right.
The chamber is now partnered with, they want to do a launch. And they're just now planning it. It won't happen for even another month or two, right, before it actually happens. And so I'm with you there. We were just thinking people that influence large numbers of businesses, because they could probably sign up a few hundred businesses, just with an email.
It might be, but the bigger they are on the food chain, like if you go for accountants or lawyers, someone that has local reach, the deal of paying them $30 or $50 per shop wouldn't be that attractive to them. But if you go and hire a local boy, someone just before college, or just out of college, or
I was thinking that, yeah,
and you put up a Craigslist ad and you search for these guys and you screen them properly, right? You want to find decent, hardworking boys or girls, of course, and you tell them, listen, you get $30 for every shop you sign. Here's the deal, and I'm just playing, as I go through, but you get them to sign up. There's the contract, and we actually did that, so I know it works. Here's the contract. Here's what you get. We send you deals when you pay nothing. I'm going to help you set up the shop so you don't have to do all the technical stuff. right? And then when we send you a customer, we take 50% off that, and that's it. Like, that's the only thing we take away. And we've had when an actual person went and talked to the business owners, we did it in the bridal industry around Philadelphia, and we had like 50% conversion rate. So half of
everybody he talked to.
Half of everybody he talked to, and it has to be a local person, right? They have to know that person. The store owner is somebody who's there, and they know him, or they can relate, right? He lives in the same town. Or maybe they know his parents or his uncle, but it has to be someone local. And then this works really well. And he puts up the images, and he helps them do all the technical stuff. It's his thing, right? Because he gets a percentage of every sale for, let's say, the first year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really good deal for an 18-year-old person.
We have considered it. You know, I'll be the first to admit that that's more of a personal hesitancy, because then you're talking about building a sales team, is what you're really talking about, right?
Right.
Which, I don't know, maybe I should step back and consider that again.
Just to get it, just to jumpstart the entire thing, right? Because once this picks up volume, the shops would come on their own.
Well, or you could do that for a period and consider it research, so you can figure out what the real pitch is and what works to get them to sign up, and then you could replicate that with, you know, videos in a conversion process online that you now advertise to the shops. You know, and your conversion rate won't be anywhere near as good, but it'll be good enough to sign them up in mass with.
Foreign traffic too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually followed that person around Philadelphia while she was talking to the bridal shop owners. It was funny because there's this big dude walking around. She was
like, oh yeah, I'm training this guy.
It was funny, but she got the deals anyway. So, and I listened and I wrote down notes, and the process of signing up the shops was easy. And we got to a place where literally 50% signed the contract. We had a contract with us, right? We'd sign them.
You just looked it up. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I should go back and reconsider that approach.
What was the hesitation about having the sales team?
Well, my only hesitation is my first job out of college was, I'm an engineer. Glenn, I know you know some of the background of me, but I'm an engineer from Vanderbilt, and I got a job as plant manager of this factory. And it was a factory with a large sales team, pretty large. I want to say about maybe 80 salespeople all across the country, selling resin cartridges. That's what we made, and it was just a major headache. It was just it was near impossible for us at the factory to call in and talk to the customers, because the relationship the customer had was with the salesperson. And so when we called, it was like, well, no, I talked to whatever the salesperson was for that thing. And it felt like they were stuck in between us in a way that I never liked in that job, ever. And so I ever since then, I've always kind of had this hesitancy, you know, to go down this sales rep, any kind of rep route, you know, that's what I call it, any kind of rep route.
Did you feel like you're losing your voice and your authority with the customers?
The customer ends up having a relationship with the rep and not with the business necessarily. And so then the rep leaves and he takes the business with him, is what often happened in that case. The rep would go to a competitor and all the business would go with him. Yeah.
But is that a realistic threat in this situation?
In this situation, I don't know if that's an issue, because I mean, where do they go? Yeah, but you still have the issue of just dealing with all them, and
you do. People are a pain.
No, not people are in pain. That's not. I don't mean it that way. I don't.
Well, it's okay. I'm a psychologist.
It's probably a personal thing. It's probably a personal thing, Dr. Flynn.
Right.
It's probably some sort of personal hang-up. You know, they always say your business is successful as the person driving it, and it's probably a personal hang-up.
Well, I mean, if you thought about it as research, though, if it was really just phase one until it could be automated and get them out of the loop, maybe that would help you.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right.
I mean, because Yoav does have the proven model, so anyway, that's one.
And that worked well for you, Yoav. So you were able to build that up, and
we had
do what
a
you
lot
wanted
more
with.
problems with the customers than with the shop owners. Shop owners were not a problem at all. And what we thought we'd do was that we focus on one area, the Northeast, Boston, Philadelphia, around New York City. We didn't want to go into New York City right away. It was too big for us.
Yeah.
And then once we have the experience there, we can move on to the rest of the country. But I won't bore you with the details. It didn't work out.
Well, I'm interested in why it didn't work out. What can I learn here?
The bridal industry specifically is a very leisure type business. And we just couldn't get the urgency in place to
unpack that. Well, I don't leisure type business. What? No motivation to buy right now.
Right. There's no motivation to buy right now, and we tried to go the information marketing route where we bought the leads, then we marketed the product, and eventually what happened is that they just bought wherever they wanted, not from one of our customers. So we couldn't make it work money-wise, advertising-wise.
So you couldn't get shoppers, essentially.
Right. And that's why I started with that. But your business is different. You're talking about providing an experience.
Different. Ultimately providing an experience, yes. I mean, I think the website, as we've currently designed it, is significantly different than what you see, especially the newer web designs. And that's on purpose. It's meant to look kind of old school, kind of, this is Main Street. And what I'm getting at is as we do more and more, as traffic starts to build up, and so a year from now, I expect it to look even more different than the rest of the web, than the rest of the Internet. I expect it to look even more different and just continue to get more and more different is my expectation. Because we're attempting to provide a shopping experience, ultimately, in my mind, that doesn't exist online currently.
Right.
I mean, the Internet was built by men to be a very efficient buying experience, and by golly, they were successful, right?
Yeah.
It is incredibly efficient. But so they've taken out all of the, happenstance and discovery and all the things that makes people really want to go shop.
How is the behavior of the searchers online? Like what percentage of them actually search for something, and where do you see them going? How do you see them? Are you tracking all that?
We don't have that data. It's there, but we haven't pulled anything yet. I mean, we have a couple of different analytics packages on here. I'm sure you can see them. But we're not pulling it. No one's analyzing it yet. I mean, it's just too new.
Well, after Yoav is done playing the investor, I've got a couple of thoughts and questions about that.
Go, Glenn. It's okay.
Well, okay. Joe, it took me a little while to wrap my head around it. Now, I'm one of the men that the Internet was built for. I'm, that logical, efficient shopper. I'm going out to hunt for a very specific thing, and then I don't really like the experience of shopping, so I'm not really your target market. But still in all, I just had a hard time wrapping my head around it. I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to do, and I guess it says pick a state. So I just figured that out, and then nothing happens when I pick a state.
That's because some of the states don't have any shops.
Oh, okay. So that's no good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have to fix. We got to fix that. Okay. Yeah.
The whole thing is designed to be fractal, and I hate to throw in an engineering term after giving this sort of flowery explanation, but fractal in that it's a true win for the state, a true win for the city, a true win for the community. Therefore, we expect to get pretty huge buy-in, and we have. Everybody we've talked to at a community level, at a state level, huge buy-in. So that, this is a big, it could be a big win for, say, the state of Kentucky. It could be a big win for, say, the city of Corbin or any of those cities in northern Kentucky or Mount Washington, or you know what I mean?
What would you think about having a little video, maybe in the blue space over here or something, which just kind of talks through the unique point of difference and how you're supposed to use the site? I mean, because if it were me, I might have walked away. If it wasn't, like, if you hadn't actually contacted me, I'm not sure I would have gone further. A couple of small things, like I kind of would prefer that the search bar were higher, but maybe that's because I couldn't pick a state. And I was a little confused when I went to the blog, and then the design was totally different. I mean, it's still very quaint and cute, and I like that branding, but I felt like I was on a different site, and I lost trust a little bit. Yeah, and then the blog is different.
We've kind of gone back and forth with the blog. If the blog looks too much like the shopping experience, then people think they could still shop there. And that's why we designed it to be kind of complementary. It has similar branding and color scheme, but it's different. It's fundamentally different because the blog's designed to be information and talk about us, and I don't know what we've got on there nowadays. We can almost eliminate the blog probably now. It's more kind of a pre-launch thing we did. But, what we found is when it looked exactly the same, then people thought they were shopping, and so they would type things in there like, red shoes or, some item they were looking for.
Got it. Got it.
And so we just had to make it a little different.
Okay. I mean, a lot of these things I feel are going to get worked out because you've got the shopper traffic and people are going to start buying. You can start optimizing. I would love to see. The guarantee kind of up in the top right. Something that says it's just like walking down Main Street and just like window browsing on Main Street. Just something that really explains it to me for a big, hairy, doofus non-shopper. Yeah. But I think a lot of that's going to get worked out. I think we really need to zone in on how are we going to get the shops. If you get the shops, this business will go.
I mostly agree with that. I think, if we get the shops, we can optimize around some of these other, usability issues, is what I call them. But
yeah.
I don't want to discount usability. I mean, it's a big thing. So, I mean, it could be that we need to start even right now with some sort of little video or explanation or something.
I mean, I don't think that could hurt you. Okay, so are there any realistic reasons that the shops would not sign up? If I'm a shop owner, other than the fact that I've been hammered by, get on the first page of Google SEO people
you're
forever.
Still being hammered. You're still being hammered. I don't know of any reason that we've been given for not signing up other than those two primary ones. I mean, there's always, a few offhand, like, one guy's like, it's going to take me too much time. And so we did his right in the meeting. We set up his shop, it's 5 minutes, and then we uploaded the first couple of products. And so that negated that, and I think anyone that bothers to try it, then that goes away. The only two major ones we've gotten are those two that, I feel have merit that we really have to figure out how to address. And then, there's a dozen others, but they don't have much merit, and they go away almost immediately.
Implementation's a really big deal. I'm working with a startup. I'm coaching a startup who have an automated intelligence system for, how do I say this and keep their confidentiality? Well, they've got an automated intelligence system for, let's say, their big chain stores, right? And they're working on the integrations that allow an automated execution of their system. And they made the mistake of, what they're figuring out now is that they really should have targeted those sites which had the automated integrations already, because their retention rate is literally, their execution and retention rate is literally 0 for the sites that don't have the automated execution. And for those that have them, it's like 93%. And they instead chose to go with a relationship with the trade organization and really target all the people in the trade organization. But it turned out to be the automated execution that was the key factor. And
help me unpack that for our case.
Well, I think it's what Yoav said, is you need someone that sets the whole thing up for them. Like this has really got to be work-free for them to get moving. Yeah. Yeah, if it's work-free, risk-free, free sales, all you have to do is sign here and say yes to the 15%, then why wouldn't I do it? You're going to send me a notice when I get an order, and you'll take 15% off the top. Why wouldn't I do that? Everything else is done for me. Especially if you had a local presence with people showing up and making the offer, which I think could be replaced by an automated presence later on. Why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, I mean
the only way to make that better is to guarantee a certain number of sales.
Like that? Sorry, go ahead. What?
The only way to make that better would be to guarantee a certain number of sales. Like when you really have the volume.
Yeah. At some point, that might be possible, Glenn. That might be possible. To literally guarantee a certain number of sales. Yeah,
so here I am.
But not now.
Yep. Yep, but that's where we're going, right? Yep, you get free sales, give me 15%, I'll do all the work for you. Well, who would say no? Unless they don't trust you. So, and you fix that with proof.
Yeah.
Yoav, what do you think?
So initially, my initial response was just like yours. Well, I never browse. I only go for the kill. If I need shoes, I go directly to the shoe store. I've got the shoes I like. I buy those pair. I don't try not to look the salesman in the eye and go out. But,
hey, it's worth mentioning. Our very first investor said no. In fact, he said hell no. But I saw his wife out at Dairy Queen. I was with my family. It was after church one morning, and I saw his wife, and I was like, man, I know that is Howard's wife. How can I go talk to her? Anyway, I went and talked to her. She immediately got it. I get a call from Bill the next day. All right, Joe, I guess we got to do this investment.
Right. Perfect.
Because she immediately got it. But she's in a different tax bracket than most of us. It's nothing for her to fly somewhere just to go shopping and have dinner for the night. Spend one night and then fly back.
Right.
So she immediately got the concept, though. She's like, oh, you mean I could get that there was some kind of little chocolate store, I want to say Maine, Vermont. Like, she listed the store immediately. You mean I could buy their stuff? Because, I've been trying to talk them into getting their website going for a long time. And I'm like, yeah, in theory you could. But what I'm getting at is she immediately got the concept in a way that, even her husband had no. He's like, no. And
right, so this page here should say additional sales, customers, and orders driven for you with absolutely no risk to you, guaranteed. Like if we could say that, then you got my attention when I'm here.
So additional sales driven for you with no risk guarantee.
Something like that.
Something, yeah, I've got you.
Yeah.
So
and then you have a whole bunch of happy shop owners talking about how much more they made.
Yeah.
okay, so I'm going to go back to my original point. What you're trying to do now, I'm sorry, I'm like that. What you're trying to do now is figure out the sales process by proxy. And I'm an engineer too. I was a programmer, started off as a programmer, and I know why. I deeply understand why you don't want to go and get into the shops and talk to the shop owners. It's a salesperson's job. But what you're doing, if you do go and you talk to the individual shop owners and you take that local person with you, what you actually do during that process is not sales. You're designing the sales process. You're building the sales process because you'll figure out in one conversation with the shop owner 10 times more stuff than talking to the Chamber of Commerce people. And
yeah,
if you go and speak to 20 or 30 shop owners with that local person, then you'll understand exactly how to sell. Because frankly, the sales process here, it's a no-brainer, right? You're giving free money. You're giving free money.
Yeah, I mean, even one sale is free money, right? It's a sale they wouldn't have gotten.
It's free money. There shouldn't be a problem at all. But when you put the Chamber of Commerce between you and your customer, then it's more of dealing with the bureaucracy and their view of what the actual customer is like and what he or she might think. So I'd really pick out a territory that's close to you and find one or two, not more than that, one or two local boys or girls.
Would you hire salespeople literally, or you would just hire young people?
And I would hire young people. I don't think you need a salesperson. It's not a difficult sale. It's not like and if you find that it's a difficult sale, you'll know a lot more about it, right? But hire girls, not boys. I started off with boys, but it was wrong. Hire girls, 18-year-old girls, fluent in shopping. They speak shopping fluently. And you get the permission from their parents and you walk around with them. Right?
It'll
be a little funny at first.
Teaching Joe how to be a sex predator.
But
Joe, before I forget, I don't think you should list the number of shops until you have at least 5,000 or 10,000, maybe 1,000. But this will be a disincentive for other shop owners who sign up until you do.
You think so?
At least 1,000.
Even when it's new. Because see, my philosophy's always been everybody starts somewhere, and so there's no reason to say we're bigger than we are or we're farther along than we are. And so that's
but I'm not asking you to say you're bigger than you are or further along than you are. But if I'm a shop owner and I don't know you, I want to see that a lot of other people are doing this already because I'm, not necessarily trusting of what's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so now that you've got that working, your next milestone should be 1,000 shops. 1,000 shops, if you sign, let's say each local person, each local girl can sign 50 shops, you need 20 people, 20 girls to sign 1,000 shops. With 1,000 shops, you have turnaround of $500,000 and you're making $75,000 in revenue for your own business. Mm-hmm. That should be more than enough for a proof of concept for investors.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You really got me thinking I'm an idiot, really, for not considering going down that route. Of course, granted, I was considering salespeople, and now I think you're even better. Let's not hire salespeople. Let's hire shoppers. Young shoppers.
Yeah, and that becomes a part of your story too.
Yeah.
And it's a local, right? It's a local girl. It's a local business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to highlight something for our audience because they'll probably notice that today we focused on a lot less tactical conversion elements or even strategic conversion elements. What we did is we zeroed in on the primary constraint within Joe's business and we problem solved that. And the important lesson for that, for everyone, is that it doesn't do you any good to work on the parts of your business that aren't the primary constraint. The place that's holding you back is where you have to work. We could optimize the shopping experience until the cows come home, and Yoav and I are pretty good at that, and we could work really hard on that, but he could have 100,000 shoppers and 92 shops and the business would fail. So that's why we zeroed in there.
No, agree. I mean, there's a time for that, but to me that's later in the process. We can analyze a lot of traffic data. Anyway.
Yeah.
And one more thing. I think, I started off thinking like Glenn, but now that I've browsed while you were talking to Glenn, I browsed the shops that are online, and it's pretty cool. So a bunch of stuff I wouldn't mind buying myself, like a couple of T-shirts.
It's pretty cool, and we allow the video, so we got several shop owners who are telling a pretty, what I think is a significant story within the video. And in fact, that's the biggest feedback we get from shoppers, is that they like knowing who they bought from, and they like knowing what they're supporting, and they like knowing, so that's the shopper side of the portal.
That's extremely interesting. Could you elaborate on that? Could you give us an example of a story and what's interesting about it?
Well, for instance, we had a shopper who did not receive their item, and they emailed us instead of the shop. And so, of course, we got in touch with the shop. And it turns out that they didn't put their address, they didn't put their whole address in. And so it was missing part of the address, so they received the item back at the shop. But what it turned into was a three-way phone call with the shopper. And the shopper was not upset at all. And the main reason they were not upset is because they wanted to support this lady who had opened her shop because her mother, essentially on her deathbed, had said, promise me you will open that shop because that's been your dream your whole life. Promise me you'll do it. And so she did it. My point is, so we had a customer who didn't receive their item. If this were Amazon, they'd be like, what the heck? It would have been a major deal. In this case, it was not a major deal at all. In fact, it turned into this three-way phone call where they were just so grateful to talk to the shop owner and say, no problem, just ship it out again today. Here's the proper address. And that's the kind of thing that we want to facilitate. Now, next time, this shopper won't call us. She'll call the shop directly, which I think is a great thing, right? I mean, you can imagine this happening thousands of times, eventually. So 5 years from now, this is happening in mass. And this is something
you're really bringing shopping to life.
Yeah, it's in a way that does not currently exist, which is hard, right? Because there's no model to follow, in my opinion. We can't build it to look just like Amazon or just like something else or just like Etsy or just, it's got to be different. And it's got to be done in a way that allows for people to get this story, allows for people to be exposed to the story. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does. It makes a lot of sense. Where people know the story behind the shop, they have an emotional connection to the shop owner, and they have an emotional connection to the products. This actually argues even more for having that sales force so you have a connection to all the shops, because then you can say, hey, while you're there, could you just point your iPhone at the shop owner and ask them these questions? Why did you start the store? What does it mean to you? What does success mean to you? What's it like when you have a happy customer? Why is that important to you? What are some of your favorite customer stories? What's the funniest thing that ever happened here? What's the saddest thing that ever happened here? How did you, what's your best customer service story? How did you make an angry customer happy? How did you, make a sad customer happy? What about the people's kids? What about their dogs? And you have this real presence in the stores with the owners, and now you leverage, the ability to click a button on the iPhone and upload those videos, and that becomes part of your database, and then that becomes, that becomes a real point of difference that's going to protect you from competitors, because that's going to be harder for them to replicate and do, and you're going to build up that bank of emotional connections to all these shops, and then you can go out and say, hey, these shops are doing better, the ones that have it, and maybe you can even sell to the shops to put more on their site. Anyway, I guess you got me up in a soapbox, but I like that idea.
No, go.
Well, no.
I've got a couple of ideas.
Stay on your soapbox. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and...
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to do. See, this is why it's so important to bridge the gap. You can't design the sales process by proxy. You need this. You can't bring an emotional connection to the public as if they were shopping on Main without having some way to bridge that emotional connection. You can't have it all automated. At least I don't see how you do it yet. Maybe we'll support it with automation, but I think having those real people in the trenches with the store owners is going to make all the difference. That's what I think from what you're describing.
I think you're right.
At least until you've got it so well figured out that you can automate it. Like it'll be the personal connection, but from afar. But you need to really understand what to do in an encounter with the shop owner. It's like, just to add to what you said, Glenn, you could add a feature, and now that's the startup guy in me talking, you could add a feature where the shop owner can take a video of a certain product and talk about it. Right?
They can already do that.
They can talk about a specific product? Great.
Yeah, one of the things that we're trying to encourage shop owners, instead of uploading a whole bunch of images of a product, is to just hold it in front of your iPhone and talk about it and move it around. I think that provides something much closer to the actual shopping experience, because if you were in the shop, you would be picking up the item and asking the shop owner about it, right?
Right.
And so to me that provides a much closer to that experience, is to just hold it in front, hold your iPhone with one hand, hold the item with the other, in front of your iPhone, and then just talk about it in the background as you're moving it around.
See, but that works even better when the store owner has an audience. If there's some young shopper who's there holding the iPhone and asking them questions about it, and she can see the emotions on that girl's face as she's telling the story of the product, and she's genuinely interested and she finds out more, that's going to help the woman bring it to life even better. The owner bring it to life even better.
I agree.
And
I'm convinced at this point.
And
what a phone call.
The same girl would tell about that shop and about your product to all her friends. Right? She's going to be an evangelist to bring in local customers to that shop and to shop on Main.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want that shop owner to be thrilled to see them, because then once they are, then you might be able to sell them other marketing services. Not that that's really the business plan, but
it is in the business plan. It's in the big thick stack. Yeah, but that's down the road. We see that way down the road.
Okay. So Joe, I think in summary, the solution we're recommending for you is to get closer to the shop owners, bridge the human contact, so that you can bring that human contact to the public. We need them to flood in.
I think that's right, actually. I think that's right. And I would not have agreed an hour ago, just so you know. In fact, I probably would have vehemently argued against that, Dr. Glenn. I would have said, no, we're not going down that path. But I think it's right. I think it's right. For sure.
Do you have any other significant questions or observations or concerns?
I do not. No. Obviously, that's our biggest concern, because the rest of it is pretty, the rest of it's defined. We already know how to drive traffic to things. We already know how to build shopper experiences. We know that we need buttons, and we know that, a lot of that stuff is just optimization later down the road, in my opinion. And feel free to disagree. Feel free to say you really are crazy, Joe.
No. If you have traffic and you certainly know what to test, or you could come back and we'll consult for you and help you what to figure out what to test. I don't think that part's going to be hard. I think the harder part is changing the offer to the shop so that it's irresistible. And that's what we need to do, including the guarantee down the road, including the guarantee to the shops that they'll get a certain number of sales down the road when you can do that. You know what, before we go, is there any guarantee we can make to the shops?
Today.
Because let's just look at the golden glove for the shops. The problem is you don't have enough businesses, and it's a pain in the ass to sell online. You feel like they're the enemy, and the online sales vehicles, they just cost you money and they seem to prey on you, and it never works. So the solution is we're going to take all that off your chest. We're only going to get paid when you get paid. We're going to do all of the work for you. We're going to send you free orders, and ideally I would like to guarantee that. I would like to guarantee a certain number of orders. We can't do that yet. The proof would be a whole bunch of other happy shop owners, and I think you should invest in the people that are making money. I think you should invest in getting some audio, video testimonials, at least written testimonials about the additional orders and how everything was hassle-free. You want to get them saying the things that support that specific USP, and the specific USP being these guys sent me free business and a lot of business, and I didn't have to do anything. That's what the USP is. So you want shop owners to say that. You want them to say it for you, and you want to be able to surround that in your pitch. The irresistible offer is, it's absolutely free and we'll do all the work for you, but maybe we say for a limited time. Maybe, it's free to sign up for a limited time until we get our 10,000 shop. At that point, it's going to be $100, something like that. And that would be the reason to act now.
Another reason to act now might be the percentage. When the first 10,000 shops get 15%, you take just 15%, and then it goes up to 20%. So,
I mean, I like that idea, not because it's more revenue, but because, if we compare it to something like a Shoptiques or some of those other kind of competitors, they often take 25%, even bigger percentages. So they as volume goes up, they take bigger percentages.
Right. Is there another first mover advantage we can give the first shops? Something, better positions. I'm just brainstorming. Better positions in search results. First access to showrooms.
Now you kind of got me thinking. What does the ad like? What kind of shopper are we looking for? Like, I'm the shopper that's going to go to these businesses. They need to be really outgoing. They need to be. Well, what does that ad look like? Can we talk about that, or is it too late?
No, let's talk about it for a minute.
You said go to Craigslist. Okay, I'm fine with that. But like, what did you advertise when you were looking for that?
I used forget the name. Let me check it out.
Well, I mean, another option is to recruit it from your list of 37,000 happy shoppers. I mean, if you have people that understand the experience and are purchasing, we still need to come up with a set of criteria, but they're more likely to get the mission and want to come on board.
Yeah. I guess what I'm thinking is, what specifically does that person look like? And I don't know right off the top of my head. I mean,
well, I can tell you who to. Brian, go on.
No, go on, Glenn.
Well, I was going to say you might want to consult with Brian Tarian because that's kind of what he does. But I mean, off the top of my head, they have to be reliable, responsible, well-dressed, and energetic. Off the top of my head, that's what they need to be. What experience do they need to have? It's a little outside of my expertise.
They need to love shopping. Here's the thing. They need to be a big shopper, because if they're a big shopper, if they love shopping, then they're very used to talking to shop owners. They like it. Right? They know how to make a connection with the shop owner. So the first criteria would be a shopper, someone who really enjoys shopping. And now I remember how I found my wedding organizer. I put up an ad on Help a Reporter Out that we're looking to interview people who are wedding planners. And we got a bunch of like 50 answers, and we picked one of them. So if you put an ad on Help a Reporter Out and ask them, we're looking to write a big article about shopping. We're looking for avid shoppers, girls who really, really like to shop and enjoy the process. You'll get a bunch of replies, and you can schedule calls with them and then figure out what they are, what you like about them, what you don't like. So,
and even before that, you could include in the instructions for them to respond with a little essay about what they like about shopping. What does it mean to them?
And like the 3 best shops they know in the area, because you want to know that they have a relationship with shops.
And it should be specific to local shops. They should be people who like to go out to the local shops. Do you have other ideas, Joe?
No, I'm writing these down. Just so
Okay. You'll get the recording.
Okay, perfect, great. Because now I'm getting an idea of what that person starts to look like, which is where my brain was going. But that's making a lot of sense. Someone who loves shopping, someone who can name their 3 favorite shops on Main Street locally, wherever they're at. I like that a lot. And maybe part of the interview process is some sort of short essay on their best shopping experience, their worst shopping experience, just to get an idea on their experience around shopping.
Right.
Also, and what they liked about it, what it meant to them. And you're looking for people, I think, who can really describe the emotional experience and clearly, they would almost say that shopping is their life.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you want my wife is what you want.
Is shopping your life? I don't believe that.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think she does what she does?
Glenn, we need to begin wrapping this up.
Yeah, we do. We do. So, Joe, thank you so much for your time and vulnerability today. It's a very interesting business. I'm actually hoping you might come back in 6 months or a year and give us a little update and let us do a little more brainstorming with you. Would you be open to that?
I'd love to. Now, Dr. Glenn, I've been trying to work with you, or I have a few times, but for years. I'd love to come back. You shoot me an email, I'll be back.
Okay. Perfect.
Whether there's any progress or not, right? If there's not, then there'll be all kinds of stories around why there's not, and if there is, then there'll be maybe even better stories, I hope. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can problem solve it. So thanks, everybody, for listening to The Customer Machine. Please remember to download your free goodies pack at thecustomermachine.com. There will be a little details about that before we go. And until next time, this is the very good Dr. Glenn and Yoav, the conversion machine, signing off. Right, Yoav?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for your time and attention. For more information about the products and services we offer to help dramatically grow your business, please visit thecustomermachine.com. On behalf of Glenn and Yoav, thanks for listening.